Joi, it is so nice to spend some time with you today. Thank you so much. When you announced your retirement from Dress for Success on LinkedIn recently, there were some comments in the thread. They included, your legacy will forever have an impact. You are a world changer. You are an outstanding role model, and the world is a better place because of you. When you think back to your career, what stands out for you?
Wow, you know what? Even though I read every single comment, when you read it back to me, my heart fluttered because, it's all about how you show up in the world. And my mother always said, what's the most important thing is what do people say when you're not in the room? And I felt like those comments were people's reactions and reflections of how they saw me show up in the world. Dress for Success has allowed me to live my best life ever and do great work and make a profound impact on women's lives, communities, children's lives, but more importantly, it has shaped and changed my life. So this has been just an amazing 20 plus years at this organization.
You just mentioned your mom. Could you tell me a little bit more about her? From the stuff I've read, it sounds like she's had a really big impact on your life.
Absolutely. So I start by saying she's healthy and well, knock on wood.
Good.
Still talk to her about 5 times a day. I was raised as a single, her only child. And although her and my dad were not together, they were very good friends and raised me jointly, but she primarily raised me. And to be able to afford me the things that she thought I needed to have in her world to be successful, she worked really hard, and really hard sometimes meant she held 3 jobs at any one given time while going to school to further her education to get a college degree. And it then allowed me to go to private schools. She ensured that I not only got into college, but she paid for anything that tuitions didn't cover. So I exited both college and law school debt-free because of my mom. She is the hardest working woman I have ever had the privilege of meeting. But in almost every woman I meet at Dress for Success, I see a little bit of my mom. And so I guess that's what made me work so hard for them, because I knew how hard she worked for me.
Wow, that's amazing. I think there's such a privilege to have a mom like that in your life. That's just amazing. Now, you've been a working mother during pretty much your entire time at Dress. Is that right?
At the entire time at Dress for Success.
How has that been for you? How has that balance worked for you?
I like to say that, my daughter who's 25 and my son is 23, Dress for Success is my middle child, right? So I've been, a mom for my entire duration involved with Dress for Success. There's that careful work-life balance that most mothers need to know how to manage. At times I did it great, and at times I didn't do it so well, right? I had to juggle the travels of Dress for Success. We're in, as you mentioned, multiple countries, multiple cities around the world, and my role was to visit and show up for the Dress for Successes. So I missed some pretty big milestones for my kids. I try to make it to all the important moments, but I'm sure there were times I weren't there. But what I did try to make sure of was that when I was present, that I was fully present. So if I was available for a son's basketball game, I was the loudest cheering parent in the room. I needed him to know I was there. And sometimes he was like, no, I heard you. Yeah, thanks, Mom. You show up when you can. But I know I did as good as I could. And I see that in the reflection of who they are as good citizens today. So I did something right.
Oh my gosh, I bet you did a lot more than something right. Do you see that experience that you're living and the experience of your mom in the clients that you're helping?
Absolutely. Because my mom had to make tough decisions. She moved us from New York City for a job opportunity in Tulsa, Oklahoma. She had no family nor friends, but she saw it as access to her being able to afford her own home, for me to be able to go to school that was safe. And she made really difficult decisions. And I think what I also saw in my mother was a level of resilience. And that is the common thread with the women of Dress for Success who walk through our doors. Having overcome multiple obstacles in their life, they have strength. They have courage, they have fortitude, determination, and resilience. And that's what I see in the women of Dress for Success.
You know, I think that's something that's really compelling to me when I hear this, is something that I think we're all trying to do in this organization is to help people understand that it's more than the suit, right? That we do so much more, and that it's more than just one woman that we're helping when they come in. It's their children and family and community. Can you talk at all about sort of the larger impact of helping one woman, what that looks like?
Exactly what you said, Sarah, right? It's the ripple effect, right? So you can't help her and not help her children, right? Because if you want to really break the cycle of poverty, and the cycle of poverty is often something you're born into, right? So in some cases, it can be second or third generational reliance upon government programs and income streams. But if you truly want to break that, oftentimes that cycle of poverty is broken from the outside in. So it's access, right? It's access to affordable housing and a safe community. It's not only getting a job, but a job that's paid a livable wage. These are the kinds of things that can break that cycle of poverty and make an impact in a person's life. And so then her children's lives are different because of it. The community now she lives in is different because of it. And then her network changes. And when your network changes, your net worth changes. So it's a ripple effect that has the potential to change lives of many, not just one woman.
When you started with Dress back in the late 90s, did you realize or see this big ripple effect and just how much impact this organization could have?
We did, from the very early stages, although people's perception of us far into the 2000s was that Dress for Success was an organization that gave clothing out to women who needed it. And for some people, it was an end stop there. We've always been doing work around professional development from the very beginning, but it was certainly, we were more known as a clothing organization. We knew pretty early on that if we wanted to be able to help women define true success, it had to be more than the clothes that we gave her. It really needed to be the tools that we gave her. And so we started to develop professional development tools for women, everything from financial literacy to all sorts of workforce development practices to not only help her land a job, but keep her job and then begin to climb and soar. And so we knew early on that this was going to be much more than clothing. We had to get other people to see that.
Absolutely. And I'm sure it's something we're all still doing.
Right.
What were those? Can you paint a picture of that church basement, was it, in Manhattan, where this all started? What was that like?
Yeah, that's a picture worth painting. It was dark, it was dim, it was crowded, but it was filled with hope and love and deep commitment to these women. And it wouldn't have mattered that they had to walk down 12 stairs to get there. For whatever reason, it still felt like the sun was shining through it all. And for the women who walked through those doors, it was beautiful. It was magnificent. It was the highest end shopping experience that they would have afforded to them. And so it wasn't so much about, how you went down, but it was all about how you came up, because it was beautiful to watch them come up the steps. and to see a garment bag in hand, or a brown bag filled with shoes and beauty items and clothing. And the stuff that you couldn't see in the bag was the confidence she wore. And so we made it magical, even though it was a lot of steps going down.
I bet it was. Man, I feel like that must have just been so magical and empowering for you and the team who were really getting this started, because it was just starting something brand new, right? And you must have looked at those women and just thought, wow, look at what a difference I just made for this one person.
And it was, and it still is for me. That's what's incredible at Dress for Success. I remember, working in that basement of the church and watching the women come in, kind of downtrodden, head down, expecting little of nothing, and then watching them to come up and seeing a completely different person. It still happens at Dress for Success. I don't think women expect much when they hear that somebody's going to give them something that they don't have to pay for. But we wow women at Dress for Success. That's the experience, right? We want to knock her socks off. We want to make her feel better than she's ever felt. We want her to stand taller, feel better. We want to bring a little sunshine into her life. And it still amazes me. And it's still something that I'll come out of my office when I hear a woman, when I hear her laughter, or when I hear her cry, or when I hear her joy, just to see her. And to make sure more than anything, Sarah, that she sees that I see her. Because I think a lot of people walk through this earth and feel invisible. And that's the worst feeling you could ever have, is to think that you don't matter and that people can't see you. So for me, I want women to know I see them. And that's what I've been doing for 20 plus years, is making sure that I show up.
Wow. And you've done that now far from Manhattan. You've done that around the world. What was the key to success to go from that one spot to now 150 cities? 150
Yeah.
cities.
150 cities, 25 countries around the world. I credit the brilliance of this Dress for Success movement to our founder, Nancy Lublin, and how she created this organization. We could have created it that all of the Dress for Successes would have had to been run and budgets out of the headquartered. Yet she followed the Dunkin' Donuts franchise model, and she thought it's worth giving something away to get something. And so we gave away licenses to start up Dress for Successes. And it's been the power of growth for us. It's what scaled us. It's what took this basement operation and now has turned it into a global entity. To have that level of footprint around the world is pretty tremendous. But it really is our version of a franchise in the nonprofit world, is how we're operating Dress for Success, but ensuring that the DNA of Dress for Success, no matter where you are in any country, is the same. And I can tell you, as someone who has traveled around the world visiting Dress for Successes, and more importantly, meeting women who walk through those doors, they say the exact same thing about Dress for Success. It doesn't matter what country I go to. They say, when I came here, in whatever language, they were treated with dignity and respect. And that is Dress for Success.
Absolutely. I want to take 1 second and talk about the realities right now with COVID-19. How have you seen that impact the women that you're helping?
Well, of course, we all know about the She Session. We all know that a lot of women have dipped out of the workforce because they're being pulled in multiple directions. They're, caregivers for their aging parents. For the past year, they had to be the at-home teacher for their kids who were going to school from home. Some of them lost their jobs because they were working in vulnerable roles, maybe in hospitality, restaurants, hotels, businesses that shut down because of the pandemic. So for a lot of women, their life is in flux. And for them, there's going to have to be a reboot, a start over. And for some of them, they're going to choose to just stay out of the workforce. And we've got to be able to forgive women for whatever their choices are, because that's not what it's really about. We want to make sure that those women who want to work and need to work, that Dress for Success is there for them. And that we not only give them the clothing they need for interviews, if that's important, but we give them the community they need. And so our organization really turned online. We started providing virtual services, created an online community for women now that has thousands of women in it. And it's just, how we show up. And so women used to have to come to us. Now we go to them. And that's the difference between Dress for Success pre-COVID and post. But nothing's changed. We still have community.
As you prepare for your next chapter, which I know we'll find out about one day.
Yes, one day.
What sticks with you? What sticks with you? Is there a client that comes to mind? Is there a memory that you're just going to hold close to your heart as you leave?
Yeah, so I hold every woman close to my heart. I think the messages that I heard from people when I left, which really volumed into thousands, it was when the clients would talk to me about their experience with me. Every client message was just powerful. And it did a little something to my heart. So my heart is now this big. But I will tell you a story about a woman I met. I honored a woman 3 years ago, a woman by the name of Anu Iyengar. And I honored her because I had read an article about her being the most senior level woman on Wall Street at the time. And today she's the global head of mergers and acquisitions for JP Morgan Chase. And so she's a big deal here in New York. And so I went to her folks and said I wanted to honor her. And within 24 hours, I got back a message that yes, she would allow me to honor her. What I didn't know was when Anu stood on stage to accept her award from Dress for Success, she talked about when she walked through the door of Dress for Success as a client some 20 years ago, that she came to America from India to go to Smith College, and then she came to New York City to go to grad school. And as she was completing grad school, one of her professors said to her, Anu, you need clothing for an interview. You've got to polish yourself up. You're going on a big interview at JP Morgan Chase, and how you look matters. And they referred her to Dress for Success. I thought I was honoring a woman that didn't know Dress for Success. And what I was honoring was a woman who had Dress for Success in her heart for 20 plus years, when she came to that basement of a church and we suited her in the suit that she went on her interview in. And so I think there's a lot of Anu Iyengars out there in the world. I'm sure today, some 20 plus years later, a lot of women walk through our door for that entry-level job, and they have gone on to ascend to something brilliant and bright. And so I just want to make sure that there are Dress for Success doors open for all women.
And there are stairs to climb, right?
Always stairs to climb.
Joi, it's such a total pleasure spending time with you today. And I wish you the best of luck in your next chapter. And I just know how much you'll be missed by everyone here at Dress. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sarah.